This is you. The train left the station 11 minutes ago, and you are the only passenger on board. That was strange, but not alarming. A late-night regional service running nearly empty is not unusual. You chose the last car because it was quiet, and the overhead lights had a warm amber glow that made the vinyl seats look almost comfortable. You set your bag on the seat across from you, plugged in your earbuds, and watched the city lights shrink through the window like dying stars. Then the first stop came and went. The platform was empty. The doors opened. Nobody boarded. Nobody exited. The doors closed. Normal enough. Then the second stop came and went. Same thing. Empty platform. Doors open. Silence. Doors close. Then the third. Then the fourth. Somewhere around the fifth empty station, you noticed that the display screen above the door was no longer showing station names. It was showing a timer, counting down from a number you did not recognize. And outside the window, the city was gone. Not fading, gone, replaced by absolute darkness. Not the darkness of countryside at night, which still has shapes, horizons, the faintest difference between sky and earth. This was flat, uniform black, as though someone had painted the windows from outside. You pulled out your earbuds. The train was silent except for the rhythm of wheels on the track. No announcements, no engine noise up front, just the metronomic clack, clack, clack of a train that is moving but no longer seems to be going anywhere. You stood up and walked to the front of the car to check the next one. The connecting door was locked. Not jammed, locked with a deadbolt that passenger cars do not have. Through the small window in the door, you could see that the next car was completely dark. No emergency lights, no exit signs, just black. You walked to the rear of the car. Same thing. Deadbolted, dark beyond the glass. You were sealed inside a single train car that was hurtling through nothing. That is when the intercom clicked on. A voice, calm, female, professional, the way pre-recorded transit announcements always sound. But the words were not standard. Passenger identified, route adjusted. Arrival time depends on cooperation. You shouted into the empty car, asking what that meant. The intercom did not respond, but the timer on the display screen ticked down by 1. 3 hours earlier, your night was ordinary. You worked the late shift at a logistics warehouse on the industrial edge of the city. Your job was scanning boxes, stacking pallets, and pretending the fluorescent lights were not slowly cooking your will to live. The pay was bad. The hours were worse. Your back ached from 12-hour shifts, 6 days a week. Your eyes stung from the inventory screens. But your younger brother's college tuition was due in 9 days, and your mother had already sold the car to cover last semester, and was now talking about selling the apartment itself. So you scanned boxes and kept your complaints inside your chest where they belonged, alongside everything else you could not afford to feel. You ate a cold sandwich from the vending machine on your break. You watched a coworker get fired for being 4 minutes late. You thought about how thin the line is between employed and destroyed. Then you clocked out, changed your shoes, and walked to the train station through rain that could not decide if it wanted to be mist or a downpour. Platform 4, the 1147 southbound regional. You had taken it 200 times. You knew the exact bench, the exact spot where the doors lined up. The route has 9 stops. Yours is the 7th. The whole ride takes 41 minutes. You could do it with your eyes closed. Tonight, it has been over an hour, and you have not reached any recognizable station. The intercom clicks again. Car 7 has been selected for route verification. Please remain seated. Car 7. You check the small metal plate near the door. It reads, Car 7. You sit down, not because the voice told you to, but because your legs have decided independently that standing is no longer safe. Outside the window, something changes. The flat black becomes textured, Shapes begin forming in the darkness. Not landscapes, not buildings, but outlines. Silhouettes that move at the same speed as the train, keeping pace like shadows with their own momentum. They are tall, thin. They do not have faces, but they have direction. They are all facing the window. You pull the emergency brake handle above your seat. Nothing happens. You pull it again, harder. The intercom says, "Emergency systems are not available during route verification." The timer on the screen drops by 3. The lights in your car flicker. When they return, there is a briefcase on the seat across from you. Brown leather, old, the kind nobody has carried since the 1980s. It was not there 30 seconds ago. Inside the briefcase is a stack of files. Each file has a name on the tab. The first name is yours. You open it. It contains a timeline of your life, not a biography, a schedule. Every job you have held, every address, every late payment, every medical appointment, every argument you had with your mother that you thought was private. Beside each entry is a small annotation in red ink. Predicted or deviated. Most entries say predicted. 3 say deviated. One of the 3 deviations is circled. It reads, "Subject chose platform 4 instead of platform 2. Route correction initiated." You were supposed to take a different train tonight. You flip to the next file. It has your brother's name. His timeline goes further into the future than yours does. Certain entries are highlighted: scholarship result, first job, a hospital visit, and a date you do not recognize. The third file has your mother's name. You close it before reading. The intercom returns. The briefcase was placed to establish context. The next item will establish terms. A second object appears on the seat beside the briefcase. A rotary telephone, cherry red. The cord disappears into the floor of the car as if it has always been there, connected to something beneath the tracks. It rings. You stare at it for a long time. The car is freezing now. Your breath comes out in white clouds that hang in the air like ghosts, too tired to leave. The shapes outside the window have multiplied. They are no longer just facing the glass. Some of them are pressing against it, their silhouettes warping the surface inward. The window does not crack, but it flexes, bowing toward you like a membrane under pressure, like something between you and them is getting thinner. You count the shapes. There are more of them than there are stations on any route you have ever taken. The phone keeps ringing. Each ring vibrates through the floor of the car and into your bones. You pick it up. The voice on the other end is your own. Not a recording, not an imitation. Your voice, in real time, breathing the way you breathe, pausing the way you pause. It says, "I already took the ride. I am calling from the other end. The only thing I can tell you is that the train does not want passengers. It wants answers." You ask what that means. Your own voice replies, "Every person who has ever sat in car 7 was asked 3 questions. If your answers match the file, the train stops. If they do not match, the route extends." The line goes dead. Not with a click, with a sound like a breath being held forever. You set the receiver down. Your hands are shaking so badly that you can barely hold it against the cradle. The car feels smaller now, as though the walls have shifted inward by a few centimeters on each side. The amber light above you flickers and hums at a frequency that makes your fillings ache. The intercom takes over seamlessly. Question 1. A screen you had not noticed, mounted into the ceiling panel directly above your seat, lights up. It shows a photograph. Your family's old apartment. The kitchen. A specific evening. You know the exact evening because of the calendar on the wall and the bruise on your mother's arm. The intercom asks, "On this night, what did you choose not to say?" Your stomach turns. You remember that night. You were 12. Your father was still alive. The argument had ended. Your mother was cleaning the counter and pretending everything was fine. You stood in the doorway and opened your mouth to say something, but the words stayed in your throat because you were 12 and afraid, and silence felt safer than truth. You whisper the sentence you never said. The screen goes dark. The timer drops by 20. Question 2. A new image appears. Your brother's dormitory room. A desk covered in textbooks. A letter on top of the pile. You recognize the envelope. It is the letter you wrote him 2 years ago and never sent because you decided it was too honest, too raw, too much of an admission that you were drowning. The intercom asks, "Why did you not send it?" You answer, the real answer. Not the excuse, the answer that sits in the part of your chest you never opened because it leaks shame and guilt in equal measure. The screen goes dark. The timer drops by 50. Question 3. No image this time. The screen shows a single line of text. The train that departed Platform 2 tonight arrived at its destination with 0 passengers. Where do you believe those passengers are now? The car goes completely silent. The track noise stops. The shapes outside the window stop moving. You think for a long time. Then you say, "They are here, in the other cars." The deadbolt on the connecting door clicks open. Through the glass, the next car is no longer dark. It is lit, and inside it, seated in neat rows, motionless, eyes forward, are dozens of people. They are all holding briefcases. They are all staring at rotary phones that are ringing and ringing and ringing. The intercom says, "Correct, route verification complete. You may now assist." The train begins to slow, but the doors do not open to a platform. They get on another train, parallel, running on tracks that should not exist. Its windows glow with the same amber light as your car, and through those windows, you can see another version of yourself, sitting in the last seat, staring out at you with the expression of someone who has been riding for much, much longer. The timer hits 0. The display screen resets. It begins counting down again from a new number, larger than the first. The intercom says, "Next route begins in 30 seconds." And from every car on both trains, every phone begins to ring at once.